Welcome to Unmuzzled. I'm Sarah Lauk, your host. I have one of my most favorite guests here. Every time he emails me, I'm like, yeah, Pete, come on, because I know you're going to have good shit. And he always does. Pete is the Director of Investigations at SEED. What does SEED stand for? Strategies for the Ethical and Environmental Development. Am I right on that? Did I say that right, Pete?
Yeah, you nailed it. You locked it in first try.
And here's the thing. I'm a monthly donor, so I really care about what they do. Einstein, I would like you to be quiet so we can do a podcast. You guys, 6 o'clock Central Time is Einstein's dinner time. I'm obviously not feeding him because I'm invested in this podcast. Hold on for 1 second. When Pete is here, we are going to talk about some tough things. There's going to be some tough pictures if you're watching this on video. Sorry. Pete, before we get to what we're going to talk about today, which is bird mills, please give us your background and your experience in investigations.
Sure. So I've done investigations for the animal rights movement since 2001. I've investigated puppy mills, factory farms, slaughterhouses, commercial fishing boats. I've worked in the U.S. and abroad. And I have worked undercover at a variety of facilities. I've worked undercover at almost every kind of factory farm, slaughterhouse you can name. And I've worked undercover at puppy mills. It's been like this huge degree of experience with a variety of animals. But the main thing, and what I'm going to be discussing with this, is that what I've learned is that handling commercial animal cruelty cases is where my experience is. So I'm not I'm not someone who goes out if you're like, hey, I think my neighbor's abusing your dog. It's like law enforcement would do that. This is like law enforcement can certainly be involved with cases I worked, but it's all commercial. Like it's not going to be an individual with a pet dog. It's going to be a puppy that's commercially breeding, selling to pet stores, a commercial hog farm, something like that. And so now my girlfriend and I run our group SEED, and we work with litigators, factory farms that pollute waterways, and do cruelty investigations as well.
Pete and Kaylin, his girlfriend, are the reason that I stopped eating meat and stopped eating eggs. Yeah. And I was very honest with them, in our first podcast about it. And, it's probably like one of the things that I'm most proud of. And if you have not listened or watched those podcasts, it is really shocking, number one. And it as Pete knows, like I grew up in Lancaster County, which is like farmland mecca. I mean, I was surrounded by farmland and farms. So, I grew up on meat and potatoes, and to now, eat clean and healthy and without animals. I attribute a lot of that to Pete and Kaylin for, this work that they have done investigating farmland. And it's not just humans that are affected. It is obviously these animals and the environment, which is everything that SEED covers. So please, go back and listen to those podcasts, or check out their website, which you see at the bottom of the screen, or it's in the bio if you're listening to this. But Pete, you sent me some pictures of these bird mills, which, first of all, again, I had no idea these existed. I mean, they obviously exist. How else are people getting all of these birds into pet stores and that kind of thing? But tell us, number one, how you found out about this, and then we'll go into, what these are like, because it is insane when you see these pictures.
Yeah, sure. So basically, the nonprofit World Animal Protection reached out to us and asked if we could investigate commercial bird breeders for them. And so we're talking like parrots, parrots, parakeets, cockatoos, stuff like that. And I just kind of assumed that footage already existed. Turns out it doesn't. That on the breeding end of it, there's been some fantastic investigations of like the brokerage end, but on the breeding end of it, there hasn't been investigations yet. We agreed, and last year went and I hit a facility in Texas and then 2 in Oklahoma. And okay, so basically what I did was I did some research online beforehand of like parakeet breeding and parrot breeding. I'm like, what is it? And I kind of looked it up, and it's not what you see on YouTube. It's essentially puppy mills for birds. The first place I went to was a place called Fancy Parrots. in Texas. And it's like all of these raised wire cages on stilts in rows. So it's like when you've seen the puppy mills where it's just they're just lined up in cages on rows, and barren cages, like they have a little box to lay eggs, and then they have a perch, and that's it. No toys, no enrichment. 3,000 macaws, cockatoos, African grays, sun conures, all those kinds of birds, plucking out their feathers, just calling out, just kind of, very stressed. And, the person who runs it was telling me that, they don't provide any toys for the birds, even though they're supposed to. USDA says they're supposed to, and they just don't, because they're just not going to bother. They, as she put it, their enrichment is fucking with the bird next to them, and this place, sells all over the place, and sells to various pet stores, and mentioned selling to Petco. So then I went to a couple breeders that were in Oklahoma, and they were parakeet facilities, or budgies, as parakeets are called. Those more resembled egg farms, stacked wire cages, and just filled with parakeets, just rows and rows of them. And same thing, just barren, no toys, no enrichment. And then what they had is these separate cages that would have birds in them that were bigger, and those served different purposes. The way it works in a parakeet facilities, you have rows of cages just stacked up on each other, right? And that's where you have them breeding. And then when the chicks are a certain age, you pull them out, and then you put them into these bigger wire cages, and they just kind of stuff them all in there. And they're stressed and they're bored, and they're, all from these different families. So sometimes they'll pick at each other and they'll fight. And then you have some of these bigger cages has cull females that they're going to get rid of, and maybe they can sell, and then replacement females. So they look at some of the chicks and they're like, I like how this one looks, and I pulled her mom because she's not breeding enough. So now, but I like her. So now she's damned to a life breeding at that facility. And at one of these facilities, I saw a trash can, and amidst all the trash were all of these dead birds shoved into the trash can. And I asked about that, and what I was told is that when some of the birds, the chicks, they'll pick at each other, they can't sell them. So what the guy does is he puts them in a bag and suffocates them to death. And I can expand on that because the USDA responded to the complaint on that, but that's essentially what I found at these facilities.
I mean, yeah, I was going to give a little warning before the trash because it's
hard.
No, I mean, I wanted to show it though, because we were talking about it, and I didn't really zoom in on it, but it obviously is so heartbreaking. Yeah. I also think, when I say we, I mean general public thinks of birds as more disposable maybe than a dog or a cat, and that maybe this is more acceptable. Again, this is not what I'm thinking, but I feel like this is what the general public may think. It's like, oh, they're just birds, they can live anywhere. No, those birds are supposed to be living outside, in their environments. So I think that's why I never really even imagined this existed. Is this almost beyond anything that you ever could nightmare about? I hate to say dream about, but in your nightmares, it's insane.
Yeah. This is pretty bad. So one of the things that was terribly bizarre about it, and one of the things, okay, so there's two levels of terrible about it. One was when it comes to that trash can thing, World Animal Protection sent a complaint to the USDA because these facilities are licensed and inspected by the USDA, and they sell to pet stores. They sell to brokers who sell to pet stores, and the USDA responded to the complaint. This is rare. They'll do this. Not only did the inspector go to that target who was throwing the birds and killing them by suffocating them, asked him how he's doing it, and he said that what he does is he puts them in a bag and he gases them to death with carbon monoxide from a vehicle. And so then the inspector said, "Did your vet approve that as a means of euthanasia?" And this is, what I'm telling you right now is on the USDA website. It's in an inspection report. That's how I know this. And that the guy said, no, my vet did not approve that, and then cited him for a 2.40 vet care violation. So, I have to commend that inspector for doing that. That said, that's it. The guy still has a license. He's still breeding. It's all good, right? So that's horrible. The other thing that's terrible about this is that birds like this usually fly hundreds, thousands of miles, and they like to be in families, in massive groups. Birds are not meant to live in cages. They are not meant to have flightless lives. They are not meant to be solitary or have one or two other birds. Birds should not be pets. If you already have a pet bird, you have to take care of that bird. But the simple reality is that birds, it's not like there's a right or wrong way to breed birds for pets. Birds shouldn't be bred for pets, period. And there's this addition, this goes deep. It's going to get deep, Sarah, okay? Is that when people promote breeding of birds, when people promote having a bird, that's called exhibitionism, right? It's like you're showing off this bird. Not only does that make other people want to breed them, it makes other people want to buy them any way they can. Increased bird breeding increases wildlife trafficking of birds. More birds start getting caught in South America and being smuggled across the border because they can sell them at a different price. So this sale is not only bad for them on the commercial end of the U.S., it increases the wildlife trade, the illegal wildlife trade.
And so that was kind of like my next question for you, is because, we think, okay, obviously people can rescue birds, and Einstein. People can rescue birds, but again, like, it's just contributing. Obviously, you want to get them out of bad hands.
Yeah.
But it really is like a cycle of problems, because as soon as a rescue takes them, then another person's going to give them up, and then that person's going to get another bird in. Like, so it is so true. Like, the best place for the birds is where they belong.
Yes. Yeah. So if you can adopt, if you want to help birds, you can adopt. But it is a lifelong commitment. I mean, a lot of these birds can live for decades. So it's like, you can't just be like, okay, well, during COVID, an enormous amount of people got birds, and then those birds just got thrown out at shelters the moment, quarantine was lifted. So birds aren't right for most people. There is the adoption option, but it's not like having a dog or a cat. I mean, it's more like having a human child. Birds they're like dogs and cats, are extremely intelligent, but they are extremely intelligent. They require a lot of stimulation, a lot of enrichment. I think that there's going to be less people right for birds than for dogs and cats. And, it's a different message that we'd have, right? Like, for example, if someone was like, listen, I hear you, I don't want to support any kind of bad commercial breeding. But I really love Yorkies. I have to have a Yorkie. It's like, well, find a Yorkie rescue that there might even be a Yorkie at your local shelter, but find a Yorkie rescue that can be done. And we can talk about how, especially if it's a foster-based rescue, they're going to know the personality of that dog, so it'll be the right dog for you, and so forth. With birds, it's more like, yeah, but you don't understand. I really like the way this bird looks, so that's the bird I want. This is more of a message of like, well, get fucked. Like, just stop. Like, I'm not, I don't normally say that, right? But it's like, like, you can't. There's a point where we have to draw a line, and birds is where we have to draw that line, where we have to say, this can't be about you and about what you want. But if you are someone who has pet birds, don't get fucked. I love you. It's okay. I'm not trying to, if you already have birds, just take care of them. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to promote it. You don't want to be like, look how great my birds are. Everyone should have birds. That actually fuels the problem.
Yeah. And I have a few friends that I know have their birds in their will, because to be like 80. And then also I have met people that have birds where they can't use any kind of cleaning supplies that are not like all natural, which is like, those are very like specialized birds, obviously. So they are high maintenance and you have to take care of them. I guess, my next question for you is how frustrating is it when you go to these places, and I know we've talked about this before with puppy mills and other things, or farms especially, and see a freaking, trash can full of dead birds and like nothing is done about it.
Yeah. So basically, it is, it's unsurprising to me at this point, and to explain that from the ground up, it's that what you have is you have a system where it's that, these kinds of facilities, they're licensed by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and the U.S. Department of Agriculture, from its founding, views any and all things that are non-human, whether we're talking about coal, oil, which USDA doesn't handle that, but the U.S. government. The government views anything that's not human as coal, oil, natural gas, trees, birds, dogs, cats, cattle, sheep. They're resources. Fish, all of them. They're resources to be used by people for profit. And the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the same department that inspects our slaughterhouses, is inspecting facilities that breed dogs and cats and birds. And there's the same mentality. And the idea is that we're going to license them, and we're going to try and uphold the standards of the Animal Welfare Act that sets the regulations and standards for how they should operate. But at the same time, they have to ensure the health of those industries. That's part of their goal. You can't do both. If you're trying to ensure the health of the industries, then as you cite them, you're creating a problem. And a specific point on that, for example, is that these commercial facilities, they sell to brokers. Those brokers sell to stores. And one thing that'll happen is that stores will be like, no, we buy from the best. We buy from USDA licensed, right? But you can go online. You can be like, well, I'm looking at the inspection report. This breeder fucking gasses his birds to death. I mean, that's horrible. So what some pet stores, what World Animal Protection is trying to do is in various places like Massachusetts, New York State, also New York City, isolating that, try and pass a ban on pet stores from selling birds. The reason you want to do that, you want to have a total ban, and you don't just want to try and like go for the next best thing, is because we tried that with puppies and kittens, and it doesn't work. Places will say things like, we buy from breeders that don't have violations. And what happens there is, say you're a USDA inspector, and you're an ethical, good person, and you're going from facility to facility, and say you're visiting like these bird mills, right? And these mills, they're run by, people that are good people, nice people. They'll be nice to you and kind to you. They have families. This is a part of their income, right? This is how they make payment on their houses. This is how they pay their bills. This is how they pay medical bills for their grandkids. And then you're going to say, hey, yo, you got dead birds. Like, I'm going to cite you for that. And then they say, if you cite me, then I can't sell to pet stores, because then I'll have that on my record. You're taking away my livelihood. And that's how not all inspectors are as ethical as the individual who went to this one place and cited them. So, the system in that way looks good on paper, but doesn't really work in reality.
Yeah, and I think, for anybody listening to this, they're going to be pissed. I mean, they should.
Yeah.
Are you surprised? And, I know that you push, and what is it, World Animal Organization?
World Animal Protection.
Animal Protection. You and they push to get this out, right? Like, for people to see these things. But aren't you kind of shocked that like mainstream media doesn't somehow like pick this up?
So, okay. I would be, okay, it's another thing, like if I hadn't done this for so long, I'd be screaming and raving. Like my first couple cases, I was like, why,
right.
But so the thing is there's two things about it. Right now, we're in an age where, we're at war. We're trying to figure out how many people in our federal government are actual pedophiles, right? We have these like horrible things happening left and right constantly. That's taken up the news cycle. But the other thing is that we have this problem where violence and abuse is something that we're okay with, but when it comes to animals, we're not really. It's that we don't really want to know about it. We don't really want to show it. We'll show horrific abuse, even of children, on TV and in movies. I mean, children less than adults, but we will show a lot of horrific abuse. But animals, man, we don't want to show that. We don't want to see it. And it's just like they're just too innocent. And a problem there is that, we don't, with all the horrible things going on in the world, the news is like, we got all these terrible things happening, and there's like, we got, dead children, in Palestine, and now we got another war, and you want me to show dead birds in a trash can? Are you serious? And so, I guess unfortunately, I'm not surprised. It's very tough to get press on things like this.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I know you hope too, like it just reaches somebody that listens to this podcast that says like, why isn't this being covered more than my little ditty podcast?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I guess what I would say is, yeah, if you hear this and if you have birds or you have a friend who has birds, like, first of all, don't bully anybody. Don't say like, why'd you get, like, you already have a bird, love your bird. If your friend has birds, help your friend love their birds. Like, don't bully anybody who has them. But this would be a good podcast to send to your friend who has birds to say, hey, like, you mean well when you send cute videos of your bird on YouTube, but because you love birds, you should learn this hard truth. And this hard truth is exhibiting that promotes people buying them, and it inadvertently promotes an illegal wildlife trade without even meaning to do it whatsoever. And so it's a hard step that, like, it makes it so different with birds. Like, you can have a rescue dog and you can be like, look at my crazy rescue dog, right? And that promotes rescue. You do that with a bird and it's different. You don't want to promote people getting birds at all.
Yeah. And now I'm like, I have clients that have birds, and like they fascinate me, and I'm obsessed with them. And it's so true, because as soon as I post, somebody says, wow, that bird is amazing. Like, that's a smart bird. But then all you need to do is look at these pictures and be like, no, that is absolutely
right. Yeah.
I guess you, like, Pete, like, you're really good at, like, kind of guiding people to donate. Obviously, they could donate to Seed, which is where I donate. But World
Animal Protection, which just to put it out there, like, it's WAP, very unfortunate acronym. they came out before the song did.
Yeah, of course they did.
We have already made fun of them for it enough to cover your listeners that would want to make fun of them. So don't worry, we got your back. But they have a site called don'tbuybirds.org. That site alone covers this case. Vox did a couple stories on the case. They did one on just the case, one that mentions the case but covers small animal ownership as well. And so there has been actually, I mean, with Vox having done that, there has been some major press on this that we were pleased with, but it's not like you see the video on CNN or something.
Right. Yeah. Which, I mean, and we don't have to go into that, but obviously that's a thing. But people could obviously donate. That's a nonprofit, right? World Protection.
Yeah. So they can donate to World Animal Protection. If you want to help birds, with Seed, if you want to support our investigations, you want to support our efforts against factory farming, you can donate to us. I'm going to do a total faux pas that I know my girlfriend is cool with, and I'm going to say right now, if you specifically want to help, birds, don't donate to Seed. Donate to a local bird rescue.
Okay. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be the thing to do. Donate, and there's a million ways. Like, contact your local bird rescue and be like, hey, do you need money? Do you need supplies? Do you need a volunteer for a day? If you're someone who's like a real badass, do like, this is a thing to do. Just be like, I'm not there because I'm just trying to play with birds, and I can't volunteer all the time. Give me the shittiest job that you have. Like, I don't care if it's laundry for a day, or you need someone to clean stuff that's like outside, and then they love having people like that. Like that, that's a great way to help out.
Okay. See, that's good. Thank you. So Pete, I think we're going to be talking pretty soon. Maybe you got something else that
lots of stuff in the works.
Stirred your soul up, so we'll talk soon. But I always appreciate you so much. Thank you for hopping on with me.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Pete is the best, guys. We'll see him again soon. Honestly, he's such a great guest. I feel so lucky that he is in my aura. And again, I'm a monthly donor. So if you want to, first of all, go here, learn more, check out, like he said, your local bird rescue. And this is the organization that I donate monthly to. They do amazing investigations and really a lot of the hard work that nobody else wants to do, to be quite frank with you, or can do. It's really, really difficult work. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.